Okay, good morning to you all. So well done. Thank you for joining me this morning. So I just wanted to almost give something back, really, just saying a thank you to all of you for, supporting me during these troubled times that we've all been facing. And I just thought a great thing to do was to do a Sunday morning class, and it will be available on my YouTube channel for anybody to watch as well. So you don't need any props other than your mat. We're going to start off standing. So bring yourself up to standing. I'll just readjust my camera. Okay, so let's just start off by bringing our feet roughly hip bone distance apart. And we talked about how you could ground through those feet yesterday. So looking to ground through the heel of your foot, the big toe mound, the baby toe mound, and lifting up through the inner arches without lifting the inner heel. You want the legs to be straight without locking out those knees, and your pelvis to be in neutral. And we'll just start off with a few movements into the shoulders. So just take those arms up and over, and then lower those arms back down. And you can add in a breath if you'd like to. So I like to take my arms up on the inhale, and I like to float them back down on the exhale. So breathing in, floating those arms up, and breathing out, lowering those arms back down again. Good, and just keep going with that. And last one, we'll just release those arms back down by our sides. And we'll take 3 rolls of the shoulders up, forward, down, back and up again. And try and make it a smooth circular motion rather than it being quite jagged or angular. So 3 going forward, and then 3 up, back, down and forward, and try and take that into as fullest range of motion that you can achieve. And last one. Good. And then widen your feet just a little bit wider than your hips, maybe about shoulder width apart. I'm turning my toes outwards, and just have a little swing of your hips from side to side. Soften at the knees. And then we'll take some pelvic circles. So hands on your hips, soften through the knees, just circling that pelvis round. Let's do 4 times one way. And 4 times the other way. Good, so just making sure you're not locking out those knees. And then bring yourself back to stillness once you've done 4 each way. Keep your feet as are. I'm going to step myself a little bit further forward because I'll knock into what's behind me. Just take that little twist into the body. Let those arms sway from side to side and find a little bounce into your knees. Turning the head accordingly with the rest of the body. Might like to give a little tap into the lower back. Great one just to warm up that body, energize the body. Breathing when you need to breathe. And then very gently we'll start to slow that down. Good. So gradually coming to stillness, realign the feet back in underneath the joints of your hips. Glide those arms up over your shoulders, palms of your hands facing one another. So reach the fingertips up high towards the ceiling. You'll find that length through the sides of your torso. Encourage the shoulder blades to draw down the back, so you don't want to hunch your arms and shoulders up too high. Breathe in again, ground through those 3 points on the feet. Breathe out, lean yourself over to that left side, and as you do so, find length through that left side as well as the right. Breathe in, come up tall, and we'll side stretch over towards the right side. Let's just do that 1 more repetition each side, leaning over, finding nice long lengthened sides of the body, and then over towards the other side. Good, breathe in, up you come. Glide those arms back down. We'll take a forward fold, so nod your head, curve the upper back, roll yourself down into a forward fold. Just watch when you come forward into that forward fold that the weight doesn't shift too far back or too far forward. Try and maintain that evenness. Take a breath in and breath out. Roll yourself back up to standing, restacking the bones of the vertebrae. Tilt as you pass the pelvis encourage those shoulders back and down. I'm going to take a little bit of a balance and we'll warm up into those hips and ankles and knees. So jazz walks. So we take one heel off the floor and we take the opposite arm forward. So if I'm bending my left knee, I'm taking the right arm forward, and then we switch over. So most of you, again, should be familiar with this. And you can bring a little sink into the knees and into the hips. Just finding that little bit of balance, just floating the arm up, gliding the arms, and 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Lovely. And bring yourself back up to standing. You might like to hold on to something if you know your balance is a little bit precarious. So we're just going to take another bit of balance. Take your weight over to your left foot and float your right foot off the floor. Now try and ground through the 3 meeting points between your foot and the floor and lift through that inner arch. And then raise that right leg up. And if you can circle that right knee out to the side, lower it down, and then bring that knee back up to hip height. Give that a go. Try and maintain stability as best as you can through the pelvis. 3 times one way and 3 times in the reverse. Good. And then return that right foot back in underneath the right hip. Ground through those 3 points that I've discussed with you. Transferring your weight to that right foot and then floating that left foot off the floor, roughly bringing that knee to about hip height, and then circling that hip 3 times one way and then 3 in the reverse direction. So just making sure you've got appropriate core connection. And then landing that left foot back in underneath the left hip. Come to the end of your mat so that the mat is out in front of you. Just going to lower my camera again just a touch. We're going to take roll downs. We're going to take it into a roll down and a walk out. So if the walk out doesn't work for you, just do the roll downs. So we take our feet in underneath our hips, roughly parallel with one another on the mat. And it's a nod of the head. You can come with me on this one if you know what I'm doing. Come into that forward fold and then walk your hands forward out into a plank position. Align your hands roughly underneath your shoulders, activate at your waist. And then you can send the tailbone back up, walk the hands back towards the feet. You can soften through the knees if you need to modify and roll yourself back up to standing. Okay, so nodding that head, C curve in the upper back. Walking that forward, coming into that walk out into a plank position. And then if you need to drop the knees and then modify to walk those hands back, you can do so. If the walk out is too intense, you just do your roll downs and your roll ups. Okay. So I'll have a watch of you as you do these. You want to try and keep the heels pressing to the wall behind you when you take it into a plank position. Make sure your hips don't sag. Good. Neck is long. Good. Looking good, looking good. So I'm going to get you to do 2 more of these. But on that last one, I want us to come down onto the mat and stay down. If any of you can't kneel, please can you stay up? Good. On that last one, you're going to come into that walk out, into that plank position, and then lower your knees down towards the mat. And if you want to rest in child's pose for a few moments, you've got that option to do so, or hold the plank. Lorraine's holding the plank there, so if you want to hold that a little bit longer, you can do so. Challenge yourself. Jacqueline, I imagine you're staying standing up, and if anybody else can't kneel, stay standing up. We're going to do some press ups. So Jacqueline, I want you to do your press ups against the wall as you normally do. Your choice. Either you can do your tricep press up where the hands stay in underneath the shoulders, or if you want to work an easier version, you walk your hands out wider than the long edges of the mat if you can. So you can do a box press up where the knees align in underneath your hips and you lower that chin and chest down towards the mat. You can send the knees a little bit further away down towards the bottom ends of the mat so that the knees and hips are not aligned. Or you can take that full version of press up. So off you go. Don't wait for me if you know what you're doing. Aim to go for about 10 of these. And if 10's too easy, go for 15, okay? I'll check in your alignment, make sure you've got that appropriate core connection. You want to feel that your upper arms and shoulders are doing work here. So if you've got about halfway and you're thinking this is too easy, you need to take it up to the next level. So just make sure your upper body's doing the work as opposed to the neck. Well done, Hannah. Superb. Good go there. So Marie-Helene, I'm just going to encourage you to lift your abdominal muscles a little bit higher. That's it. Okay. And go again. Good. And then when you've done your 10 or 15, if you were doing an extra challenge, sit yourself back in child's pose. Jacqueline, can I get you to come down onto your mat? And you're going to just lie on your front. So all of you, when you're ready, Marie-Helene's still going. We're going to stop there, Marie-Helene. So if you need to ease off, just take a cat stretch or child's pose if you need to. And then we're going to come to lying on our front and we're going to take diamond press. So lying on your front in a prone position, bring your thumbs and index fingers together. If you've got issues with your shoulders, widen those hands out a little bit. So just some nice gentle back extension to warm up through the spine. Your feet are about sitting bone distance apart and make sure you've got a little bit of energy between your legs. Graze your nose along the mat. Breathe in, peel the face off the mat, peel the neck off the mat, peel your chest off the mat, and maybe your upper ribs, but your lower ribs stay connected. You don't want to clench at the buttocks. Lower your upper ribs down, lower the chest, lower the nose, and then the forehead. And again, skim that nose along the mat. Breathe in, breathe out as you take that extension. Neck is long. You can give the head a little bit of a wiggle if you want to. And then return those upper ribs, the neck, the nose, the forehead. And keep going with this extension of the spine. And inhale to lower. So we'll do about 10 of these. Just nice warming up through that spine. Good. Lovely. And just making sure that you don't want it to come into the lower back. So Hannah, I want you to relax your glutes if you can a little bit. That's it. And then lower back down. Okay, 2 more. And last one. And just rest with your forehead on the tops of the hands. Take a couple of resting breaths here. In a moment, we're going to take darts, so a little bit more challenging. If it's too intense for your back, please stay with some more diamond presses and just take some more of those, okay? So we're going to bring the big toes together now. Open the heels up. So your big toes connect, you open the heels up. The arms come down by the sides of your body with the palms facing upwards, and the forehead rests on the mat. You take a breath in, skim the nose, breath out as you peel the head off the mat, peel the chest off the mat. Turn your hands into the sides of your body and squeeze the heels in. Your glutes will activate. And then releasing that upper body back down, the front upper body. Releasing the backs of the hands with the palms turned up and repeat. Breathing in, graze the nose. Breathe out, taking that gentle back extension. A little bit more intense than diamond press. You'll feel that more into the lower back. And then releasing that back down. Good, and continuing. So work towards using your upper back muscles, your back extensors to lift you up as opposed to your neck. Good, that's looking really nice. If you're feeling it's too much compression in the lower back, you have got an option of maybe putting a folded blanket or fairly flat cushion in underneath your pelvis to make that more comfortable for you. Good, really nice work there, Marie-Helene. Good, keeping the big toes connected to the mat. Squeezing those heels in towards one another. And let's take one more of those. Good, well done. Okay, so we're going to roll onto our side. I'm not going to stipulate which side, so just roll onto a side and hug your knees in towards your chest. So the side you naturally want to turn to, and I'm going to steer away from left and right as best as I can. Not always possible. So I'm just going to hug the knees in towards the chest, just to counterpose that work that we've done on the back extensors. And we're going to extend those legs along the floor now and straighten those legs. So, and straighten that bottom arm out in underneath your ear, so you come into a sideline position. You can, of course, put a cushion or something in between your arm and your ear if you'd like to, but it isn't always necessary. Bring that top arm in front by your waist. Stack your joints, so stack your shoulders. Just encourage that top shoulder back. Stack your hips, your knees, your ankles, and feet just slightly in front of your pelvis. Reach and lengthen that top leg away and glide your top leg off your bottom leg and release that top leg down. And so we're just going to lift and lower that top leg up and down and work towards lifting your waist, and see if you can also lift your bottom ribs off the mat. So it encourages a bit more of a balance. You may like to bring that top arm to rest on the top side of the body to achieve even more balance, and see if you can get your chin off your chest. Breathing out when you lift and inhale as you lower. Next time you take that leg up, hold it up there. I'd encourage you to bring that top hand back in front, and this time, rather than tenting the fingers, just bring the hand flat to the mat if you can, just resting it gently there, and start to take that leg forward, down, back and up. So you're taking it into leg circles. So circling that leg around, and you'll feel that working into the glutes. Slow, controlled movements, maintaining that pelvic stability. And certainly if you feel balanced enough here, you can take that supporting hand off the mat and just rest it maybe on the top side of the body, or stabilizing that top hip. Starting to probably feel that a little bit more on the glutes now. Let's take one more and then change direction. So we'll take it back, we take it down, we take it forward, and then up again. So circular movements through that pelvis. Nice controlled movements. And I'm beginning to feel that a bit now. All's good though. Just keep smiling through any discomfort. Let's do two more. Keep that top shoulder down, waist engaged. And last one, lovely. And lower that top leg down, and then give that top leg a bend in front of that bottom leg. Just maybe give that top thigh and glute a little rub. And then we're going to bend the legs and line up your feet with the back of your pelvis. Just check your hips are stacked, and you can rest your top hand on the top hip. Option to float the feet off the floor for oyster. Breathe in, prepare, breathe out, raise your top knee off your bottom knee. So you've got that external rotation happening at the leg, and inhale, glide that leg back down. And again, exhale, lifting that knee up, and inhale, lower. Good. So you can stay with this option. You can lower the feet down to the floor rather than hovering if you wish to, or you can add in a little extension. So you lift, you extend the leg, it's at an angle, re-bend and lower that foot down. And this will be a strength exercise into the glutes. It's also a mobilization into your hips. Also a little bit of strength into those abdominals. Just make sure that the tension is out of that upper body. Reaching the toes away, pointing through those toes. Breathing on that extension. Inhale as you return and exhale, lower. Let's do two more of these. And last one, really feeling that now. Good. And what we're going to do now is we're going to lift that knee up. We're not quite finished. And then we're going to internally rotate the leg, dip the knee down, and externally rotate. So dip the knee down, release the toes from one another, and then lift that knee back up, retouch the toes. And again, dip the knee down so you've got that internal rotation, and then lift that knee up, touch the toes. Let's do a couple more of these, just staying nice and stable. Last one. Good. And reconnecting the feet, lowering that top knee down, lowering the legs down. Probably really felt it there. Okay, we're going to swing ourselves round to do the other side. So I'm going to just swing my legs round to the other end and come to land on the opposite side. And once again, bringing ourselves into a straight line. So chin off the chest, top hand in front by the waist. And just start off with those simple leg raises. Just check that your joints are all stacked, toes are soft. Simple leg raises, chin off the chest, top shoulder back and down. And you can rest that top arm on the top side of the body if you're nice and stable. Just ensuring the waist is lifted off the floor and maybe those bottom ribs lifted off the floor. Good. And then next time you lift that leg up, we'll start to take it into leg circles. So taking it forward, taking it down, taking it back and taking it up again. So circling that around. Oh, I've lost my balance. I'm going to bring that hand back. So you can bring that hand back if you're struggling to balance. And just a couple more this way and then we'll change direction. As I said about having that hand flat to the floor on the previous time, but just be really soft in that hand. Okay, change direction, take it in the reverse direction. So just, Jane, I'm going to ask you to make those circles just a touch smaller and just really work on maintaining that stability through the pelvis. Toes are soft, so there's no flexion at the ankle. Good. And let's just do a couple more like this. And then last one. And you can lower that leg down, allow that top leg to bend in front and give that top thigh and glute a little rub there. And then we're going to bend the legs, lining up the ankles with your hips. You don't want the knees too highly lifted, so you're making a zigzag shape with your legs. Option to float your feet off the floor. Just check your hips are stacked. I'm going to raise that top knee off the bottom knee for oyster. So you've got that opening up through the hips, that external rotation happening. And it's a lifting and lowering of that knee. So breathing out when you take the effort and inhale lower. You can start to add in that leg extension as well. So you raise that top knee up. You reach the toes towards the side and rebend the leg, reconnect the toes, lower that leg down. Just make sure you're not collapsing into that lower side of the body. And just keep going with this. Your top glute will now start to grumble a little bit. Couple more. And then last one. Good. And then lower that leg down. And we're going to just open and close. So lower the knee and then lifting the knee, reconnecting the toes. We're going to lift the foot, top foot up so that it separates from the bottom foot. Internally rotate that knee in and externally rotate that knee and rotate the top leg. So it's an internal rotation and it's an external rotation. So separating the feet when you take the knees down and then reconnecting the feet when you take the knee up. And this is the hardest one out of all of them, I think. Or I don't know whether my glutes are just becoming a little bit tired. Couple more. And last one. Good. Reconnect the feet, reconnect the knees, lower the feet down, give that top thigh and glute a little rub. Good. We're going to roll ourselves over onto our back. Come to semi-supine position. Take a moment to just check you've got that neutral pelvis, a gap between your lumbar spine and the mat. And we're going to take a double knee fold. If a double knee fold isn't right for you, just do single leg raise as an alternative. So knee fold of your right leg, my lower back starts to soften into the mat, knee fold of the other leg. So if that's a lot of impact on your lower back, you feel it pulling or tugging, imprint the spine. But if you can maintain a natural arch, please do so. My hands are resting on my prominent hip bones. I'm going to tap one foot down towards the floor, and I feel that recruit and engage my abdominal muscles a little more intensely. Return that leg and toe tap the other leg down towards the floor. So we're just doing some simple toe taps, which you're all familiar with. You know that if you want to take it a little bit further and work a little harder, you toe tap your feet further down towards the bottom end of your mat. So the further you go, the harder you'll work. Good. You might like to add in an option of arms and take those arms vertically over the shoulders. And when you toe tap, say, your left leg down, your right arm goes up and over your shoulder to rest on the floor. And when you toe tap the right leg, the left arm goes up and over. So if you're able to work with that coordination of working opposite sides, give that a go. Breathing out through the mouth, inhale as you return. And let's do 3 more repetitions on each side. Last repetition on each side. Nice control there. Good. Keep that going. Maintain that control. When you've taken those 3 reps on each side, return your arms back down and hug your knees in towards your chest for a moment. You can clutch on around by your shin bones or around the backs of your thighs. And return your feet back down towards the floor. We're going to take some curl ups. So in the last few weeks, I've been using a band around the back of the head. If you want to use your band because you find that more appropriate around the back of the head, you can do so if you know what to do there. Otherwise, just interlacing the fingers around the back of the head or your fingertips by your ears. Elbows slightly forward in your peripheral vision. Feet in line with your sitting bones. Take a breath in, breathe out. You're going to lift the back of the head and the upper back off the mat and aim your forehead up towards the ceiling. You'll feel those abdominals recruit the higher you go up. So the more they'll recruit, the higher you go up. Return that upper back and head back down and then curl up once more. So the hands are supporting your head. You're not yanking the head up. You keep the chin off your chest. You want to lift as high up as you can, but you'll probably find you come up no higher than the lower tips of your shoulder blades. So I'm able to get up to the lower tips of my shoulder blades, and that's about as much as I can manage. So aim for that if you can. Breathing out to lift. Don't forget to breathe out through parted lips and inhale lower. Let's go for 4 more of these if we can. And 2 more. And last one. Well done. Good. Okay, so from here, just opening up, stretching through that body. Take a full body stretch. Just stretching the toes away, stretching the legs away. I'm going to look at combining those 2 moves. So rebending your legs. Interlacing the fingers around the back of the head or using the band if you were using the band. Take a knee fold of your right leg. Take a knee fold of your left leg. Good. Peel that head and upper back off the mat. And as you do so, toe tap 1 foot down towards the floor. And then return that leg, return the upper body. And again, breathe out. You're going to lower the opposite foot down towards the floor as you lift that head and upper back. And return that leg, return that head and chest. Good. So as you take that curl up, you're going to lower one leg down towards the floor. You can do single legs. You don't have to do that double knee fold. And when you curl up, you return the leg. or you lower the leg down. That's it. And then when you lower down, you come back to that double knee fold. Or your feet are both flat on the floor if you're modifying. Good. So this is quite challenging. We're not going to do loads of these. I'm losing all my coordination. I'm hoping you're doing a better job than I am. So it's when you lift up, toe tap the foot down towards the floor. Try and maintain that right angle with the leg if you can. And let's do 2 more reps on each side. You need to stop, stop. Lovely. Just keep that head heavy into the hands. You should be really feeling warm through the body now. Last repetition. Good. And then when you've taken that last one, just lower that head and upper back down. Return your head and your upper back and your feet and your legs. And separate your hands now from the back of your head. Bring your arms down by your sides, palms of your hands flat to the floor. Let's take a few bridges to open and release through the front of the body. So just check that your heels are not too close towards your bottom, and press the hips up towards the ceiling, maintaining that neutral spine and neutral pelvis so there's no articulation through the vertebrae. And then return the hips back down. And again, raise those hips up, engaging at the glutes just a little, and lower down. And 8, 7, 6. So just keep lifting and lowering. 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Okay, we're going to roll ourselves out to the side. I'm going to bring ourselves up to sitting. And just have your feet on the floor with your legs bent. So I'll just give you a side profile as well. So this is where if you want to sit on something, if you struggle to sit on the floor, you can put something in underneath your sitting bones, or you can sit on a chair as an alternative. Okay, extend the arms out in front. We're taking seated bow and arrow pose. I'm not going to direct you left arm, right arm. You just go with whichever option you wish to. So pick the arm you're going to start on. Breathe in. Bring that hand to your heart, to your chest. And then rotate your head, your shoulders, and your ribs simultaneously. And then open that arm out behind you. You want to keep that front arm nice and still. And then keeping the arm straight, you semicircle that arm back in front so that it comes in line with that shoulder. Let's go to that other arm now. So the other arm bends. You open up through the chest, you externally rotate, and then you straighten that arm out behind you, look towards the fingertips. Keep that arm straight as you bring it back around the front, in line with the shoulder. So breathe in, prepare, breathe out. You take that rotation, open that arm out behind you, inhale, and then exhale, bring it back around the front. Good, breathe in, prepare, breathe out, draw the hand back, rotate. Open that arm out behind you, inhale, exhale, semicircle, bring that back around the front. So if I sit front ways on, just so you've got that front view as well. When you take that turn, work that upper part of the body all as one, so it all moves together. Watch the shoulders don't start to creep up, so have the hands just at about chest height. You're just watching those arms don't start to raise, though you don't want those shoulders to start to lift. Good. And just watch that you're not slumping into your lower back, you're not collapsing, you've still got that activation at your core to support you to find that elongation through the spine. Let's just do one more on each side. And just making sure that you finish off with that second arm last, so that you've done each side the same amount of times. And then lower those arms down. You need to give those shoulders a little bit of a shrug or a roll, please do so. And then we're going to swing our legs over to one side. So the legs, just one leg slightly forward and the other, we're not bringing the knees on top of one another. We're going to take some side bends. If any of you want to work a straighter leg variation and you're familiar with this and work that straighter leg variation, you can of course do so. If you prefer to come onto your forearm, you can of course take that option as well. You can keep the hips down. Bring that top arm to rest on the top side of the body, finding length through both sides of the body. We'll take a breath in, breathe out. We raise that top arm up towards the ceiling and use your waist muscles to lift your hips up towards the ceiling, keeping the knees down unless you're working the straight leg variation, and then gently gliding yourself back down towards the floor. Breathe in, breathe out, come back up again. You can modify by keeping your hips down. If you're not able to lift up, that's absolutely fine. You've still got that side stretch happening in the top side of the body. Try not to collapse all your weight into that wrist and into that supporting arm. Just keeping that neck long. We'll go for a few more of these. 2 more. Nice and controlled, last one. Good, and lower that top arm down. And just to counterpose that, we're just going to swing the legs over the other way. We're going to do the other side. So onto the forearm or the hands. You're on the forearm, the elbow sits in underneath the shoulder. Bring that top arm to rest on the top side of the body, feet lined up with the back of your pelvis. Waist engaged, breathe in, breathe out, off you go. Lift that top arm up and over. Watch that top shoulder doesn't start to reach up towards the ear. Think about actively drawing that down. Pressing through that supporting hand. Remember those various options to work with the straight leg variations. Option to keep the hips down on the floor as well. Good. Fingers spread wide. 2 more. And last one. Good. And lower those arms down. I'm going to swing those legs out in front. I'm going to give you 2 options here. I'm going to take a little bit of a forward fold. You can either butterfly your legs, soles of your feet together, knees outwards. You might want to give that a try anyway, just see how that feels for you. Bring your hands around the front of your feet by your toes and just hinge forward at the hips, lean forward and soften through that spine. So that's your first option, thinking about those knees drawing down towards the mat. If you want to work a little bit more intensely and more into the hamstrings, take those legs out into a V shape. Again, you can sit on something, draw out the padding from underneath your sitting bones and flex at your ankles and then walk those hands forward. So this works into your hamstrings more and you get a deeper stretch into the groin area. And again, a nice softness through the spine. So either option, choose that. And we're just going to bring our awareness to the breath. And let's take 5 breaths of lateral thoracic breathing. So breathing into those ribs, wide and full. Front, sides and back, and breathing out through the mouth. And again, inhaling in and exhaling out. Good, and again, breathing in, front, sides and back, and breathing out. 2 more breaths here. And last one. Good. We're going to take a little bit more back extension. So when you're ready, just ease yourself gently up, whichever way you are. Just bring your legs together. We'll take a gentle back extension. So bring the hands back past your hips. Encourage the shoulder blades to draw towards one another as if you're squeezing a pencil in between your shoulder blades. Soften at your feet. Lean yourself back and lift that heart space up towards the ceiling. Good. And then release that off. We're going to come towards the end of the mat. We're going to do some roll backs and we'll work those abdominals a little bit more. So check you've got plenty of room behind you. I'm going to give you the option after a couple of preparatory ones to roll all the way back. If you need to add in props like a band or a ball that you can sit at the back of your ribs, you can take that option. So legs are bent to start off with, feet flat on the floor, arms in front. Take a breath in, nod the head, so you curve the upper back. And then breathe out as you roll yourself back, coming about halfway. Keep the feet flat on the floor, take a breath in, and then breathe out, lead up with the forehead. Scoop yourself up tall and just roll those shoulders back and down. And again, it's a nod of the head, see, curve the upper back, head stays over the pelvis. Roll yourself back about halfway, you feel that pelvis is tucking under. Abdominal muscles recruit, and then leading up with the forehead, sit yourself up tall. So you can stay with this option. You might like to roll yourself back a little bit further. Maybe take the head all the way back and take the arms up and over to rest on the floor. And lifting with the arms, curling the head in, sitting yourself upright. So you can take that roll up all the way down and back. You can straighten the legs if you wish to. And keep the toes soft, take it into that full roll back, lifting the arms, lifting the head, rolling yourself up, sitting yourself up tall, rolling those shoulders back and round. So we'll do a few of these. Really think about the abdominals doing the work as opposed to the back. And you can stay with this option, or if you'd like to bring it into a few rolling like a ball, you can sit up, bend your legs, rest your hands at the backs of the thighs or maybe the shins or in front, and then balance those feet off the floor so you hover them. So you curve that spine, make sure you've got padding to support your back as you roll yourself back. See if you can keep the feet off the floor. So only aiming for maybe 6 to 8 of these, and if you wish to stay with that roll back option, you can of course do so. So I've given you lots of options. Good. And if you are doing rolling like a ball and you've done enough of those 6 to 8, I'd like us all to roll down onto the mat and come back down to lying on the mat. And if you can't roll down, roll yourself out to the side and bring yourself down to lying on your mat. And bring your feet flat to the floor so your legs are bent, your arms are down by your sides, your palms are flat. We'll take some spine curls, so some more back work, mobilization through the spine. So tilt your pelvis, lower back imprints, and then raise the pubic bone, tailbone, raise your hips, raise your lower back, the middle back, come up roughly to the lower tips of your shoulder blades, and then repace that spine sequentially back down on the mat, lengthening the tailbone away. And again, tilt of the pelvis, roll that spine off the mat. Try and keep your head up to face the ceiling. So try not to turn and look towards one side. And sequentially pace that spine back down again, lengthening the tailbone away. So if you have a tendency to allow the knees to move or roll or rock, put something in between your knees, like a block or a cushion. Try and work through that spine one vertebra at a time. And work towards keeping those hips nice and level. Good. Last one here. And when you've taken that last one, just hug your knees in towards your chest. If you want to take a little rock from side to side, that's your choice, absolutely fine. You might like to take the forehead up to meet the knees. And we're almost done. Where did that 45 minutes go? It absolutely flew by, didn't it? I'd like us to do a little stretch through the legs without using the bands today. As I said, we were going to keep minimal props. So lower your feet back down towards the floor and just invite one leg in towards your chest, and then take hold of the back of the thigh and extend that leg and foot up towards the ceiling. And just take some pointing through the toes and then flexing at the ankle. So plantar flexing and dorsiflexing, you'll feel that at the Achilles, you'll feel that at the top of the foot, you'll feel that into the calf and the hamstring. And then take some rotation, several times round one way, and then several times in the opposite direction. And then bringing that foot to stillness, lowering that leg back down towards the floor, switch legs, bring the other leg in. Extend that leg up towards the ceiling, working towards a straight leg, and just start with some pointing and flexing at the ankle, the toes, noticing the sensations that are occurring within the body. And then taking some rotations into the ankle. And then changing direction, take it the other way. And then bending that leg, lowering that foot down towards the floor. Roll yourself off to the side. We're going to bring ourselves up to standing. So roll yourself round to all fours. And if you can't come to all fours, find an alternative way of coming up. Tap the toes, lift the knees, find a downward facing dog. And then either walk hands to feet or feet to hands. Align your feet in underneath your hips and roll yourself up to standing. Head to come up last. Roll those shoulders back and round. And just to finish off, take a big breath in, sweep those arms up, and then sigh that breath out, bending at the knees. And again, inhale. And exhale. Last one. And exhale. Good. Take those arms back up. Give yourselves a little clap. Well done, thank you. Lower those arms down and just check you've got that nice alignment through the body. Good. Well done, all of you. Superb job. That was a great start to your Sunday.